Good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, wherever you are across the world. Thanks for joining us here on our Northwestern YouTube channel. You are tuned in to What Makes Northwestern Northwestern. We're going to give you some highlights of what makes Northwestern special. I am joined today with an excellent student and a recent graduate, Zack Levy. Zack, can you go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, for sure. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this info session. Again, my name is Zack. I'm a recent graduate, class of 2020, where I studied economics, psychology, and business. Originally from the Boston area, and just relaxed a little bit for a few months before I start my full-time job out in October. But while I was an undergraduate here, the main pockets, or like the two biggest communities I was a member of, was one, the business community, where I was able to foster a lot of the resources at the school. Then I was also very heavily involved in the overall Northwestern Wildcats sports community as well. Where as a member of Northwestern Wild Side, I helped students get super hyped up on game days. I helped give out free merch, and I just overall looked to make students as involved as possibly could with our Division I sports.
Excellent. So my name is Quinton Sprull. I am an assistant director of Northwestern, of the Office of Undergraduate Admission here. I've been a part of the university, been a part of the admissions area for the better part of a decade. I'm also proud to say I am a double alum, which means that I received both my bachelor's from the School of Education and Social Policy back in 2009, and then my master's from the School of Communication back in 2017. So that means Northwestern's doing something right, where I trust them to guide me on my next path throughout my career. The way that today's format will work is that Zack and I are going to talk for about maybe 30 minutes or so to give you some highlights again of about what makes Northwestern Northwestern. And then we'll take some time to answer some of your questions. So feel free to send those questions over to the chat section and let us know what you'd like to learn about Northwestern. So we're going to get started. Let's see if I can actually make this work. Go. Wonderful. So Zack, let's start with you actually. If you can give me Can you answer this question for me? So what, in your opinion, makes Northwestern Northwestern?
Yeah, so fair warning to everyone, this is going to be a little bit cheesy, so bear with me on this one. But just graduated, and I've been reflecting a lot on like what my Northwestern experience meant to me and how I could define people in two terms. And I think everyone at Northwestern is compassionate and passionate. So to talk about both of those, on the passionate side, for our students here, absolutely love to get involved in so many things, whether they're double majoring or they're getting involved in lots of off-campus, on-campus communities, or they're just looking to have a fun time as well. Students here love to get involved with things and pursue a ton of passions at the same time. But at the same side, on the compassionate component of it, or the compassionate aspect, students here will never do anything to go against someone else. Students here will never fight to climb to the top in order to put other people down. But instead, people here truly love to help one another out. And honestly, I'm from Boston, so this is a little bit different in Boston area, but people here are truly just like super nice and welcoming. And those two together just create a really healthy and happy community.
Myself, there we are. Couldn't have said it better myself. I completely agree. I think one of the, what makes Northwestern Northwestern are its people. There's a passion that all of our students have, and all of our faculty and staff has as well. It's a very supportive community that supports academic exploration and discovery, growth in every single sense of the word, and really nurturing diversity as well, whether that's diversity and as a whole, you know, if we're talking about the kinds of students that we have at our university and the kind of faculty and staff that we welcome as well, but also the diversity of thought. So I think Northwestern is a wonderful hybrid of so much, and passion and exploration sort of guides that, that pursuit. So as I said, the first thing I would say that defines Northwestern, that makes us who we are our students. And so our students actually come from all over the world. Some of you in the chat section might be telling us right now where you're coming from, and you can see just from that exchange that you represent over 50 different states. Our students come from nearly 80 countries. And we have about 8,000 students on our campus as well. And it's a relatively small size. So it means you really have the great opportunity to get to know one another and also to continue to discover new students across your 4 years at the university as well. Northwestern is committed to diversity, as I alluded to earlier, in every single sense of the word. As you can see from the slide right there, about 12% of our student population are international students, with about nearly 14% of those students being first generation students. And so we really, in every single sense of diversity, we are intentional in what we do there. It could be geographic diversity, as we're talking about, ethnic diversity, religious diversity, urban areas, rural areas, you name it. We really are intentional about that, again, because we believe that this diversity of perspective really enhances our students' classroom experience and enhances the small discussion style classes that we actually offer across the university. We have over 1,200 faculty as well that are that run the gamut of excellence and are diverse in their own ways as well. So Northwestern, one of the things that makes Northwestern are our students, and we are as excellent as the students who are joining us today, and as excellent as Zack is. So we really are intentional about the kinds of students that we welcome onto our campus. Our academic approach is actually a unique aspect of Northwestern as well. We're proud to say that we are a part of the top 10 universities in this country. And our academic programs actually are a highlight of that. We have hallmark of that. We have 6 distinct programs of study, or academic schools, I should say. And from largest to smallest, you can see them on your screens there. It's our College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, followed by our School of Engineering, which really focuses its curriculum on a whole brain philosophy. Then there's the School of Communication, which has a range of both performance and non-performance concentrations, from theater to communication sciences. Then we have the School of Journalism and Integrated Marketing Communication, which is the only school in that top 10 that has a school dedicated fully to the field of journalism. Is actually the school that I started in before I transferred over to our smallest school, which is the School of Education and Social Policy, which has about 7 different majors to offer, ranging from secondary teaching to social policy and learning sciences. And then we have our only conservatory school, which is the School of Music. So as you can see, these schools are not placed in boxes because your learning takes place across all schools. Yeah, when you apply, you have to select one school and perhaps a major, although 50% of our applicants choose undecided in the College of Arts and Sciences. But although your initial programming or your initial course of study is taking place within one school, your learning takes place across all schools. And that's encouraged at the university, thanks in part to our quarter system. That's another fantastic benefit of a school like Northwestern. We're one of a handful of schools across the US that are on a quarter system. So you might be familiar with a quarter system. Its counterpart is a semester system. At a semester school, students would have 2 academic terms of study for each academic year. At a quarter school like Northwestern, you would have 3 academic terms. And they're 10 weeks at length. It's fall, winter, and spring. During your summer term, it's not a required term. Students do not have to enroll in courses during that term, but we do offer courses. So if there's a course that you might think is really challenging, if offered, you can take that class over the summer, or you can take an internship or do some sort of independent study over that term as well. Zack will talk a little bit more about that. But again, the benefit of the quarter system is that it offers such great flexibility in academic exploration. So you're taking 4 courses. You would be taking 4 courses in each of those academic quarters, which adds up to about 12 courses per year. Compare that to a school that operates on a semester system. By the time you graduate, you'd be taking about 10 to 12 more classes at a quarter school versus versus roughly, let's say, the 32 classes you'd be taking over the course of 4 years at a semester school. So there's great flexibility in which kinds of courses you take. We have over 4,600 courses to choose from, The College of Liberal Arts and Sciences alone has 45 different majors to choose from. So we really encourage our students to explore all of those different schools and really take full advantage of the quarter system to change their mind, to delve deeper into an area of study, to create new areas, to create a new concentration. In fact, number of our students pursue more than one concentration, thanks to the flexibility of our quarter system, with over 70% of our students having more than one concentration. Our students tend to sort of fall into that because they're just so eager and so curious about the world around them, and they are really good in a lot of areas. So they may start, let's say, as an economics major solely, but then upon taking some additional courses in, let's say, international studies, they then learn that if they just take, 4 more courses, they then would have a second major. Or if they just took, four more courses in a particular area, they might have a concentration. So just by our students really taking advantage, again, of our small class sizes, access to faculty, and the quarter system, they actually do end up discovering what they're actually, their own, or sort of, they begin to outline their own Northwestern direction, if you will, from a full gamut of courses. I'm going to hand it over to Zack to talk about how learning continues outside of the classroom in some of our innovation spaces and research as well. Zack.
Yeah, sounds good. So as a business-minded or business-oriented person, I was definitely really drawn to Northwestern's focus on both innovation and entrepreneurship. Over the next 5 to 10 minutes, I'll talk about all of the out of class, learnings you can do here. But first, I'll talk about this area. And I think one of the best parts about Northwestern is that it fully embraces the reality that students learn a ton, both inside and outside the classroom. So going back to 2016, when I was an incoming freshman here, I knew I had an interest in business, but I didn't really know what that would actually mean, to be honest. I watched a ton of the TV show Shark Tank with my parents back in middle school and high school. So I knew I had an interest in entrepreneurship and innovation. And then when I came to Northwestern, I was immediately drawn to all of our different entrepreneurial communities on our campus. So the first one I want to talk about is the Garage. The Garage is a 1,000 plus square meter entrepreneurial hub with every type of resource you would possibly need to create a startup or to join a startup. They have a ton of advisors. They have a ton of mentors. They even will give you seed funding if you want to, start a business and you need some resources to actually keep it growing and to, push it out there past Evanston into Chicago or even across the entire country. So for example, my freshman fall, I joined a company called Northwestern Student Holdings, which runs about 4 on-campus student businesses. More specifically, I was the marketing manager of a local tutoring company called NU Tutors. Highly recommend them, by the way. And with that, as the marketing manager, I really helped the company streamline their profits. I helped them create a new website. I helped them figure out how to, actually make more efficient operations. And I just got a ton of hands-on experience within the Garage that I truly don't think I would have been able to get at any other school out there. But beyond that, there's also a lot of really cool success stories within the Garage too. So for example, the year before I joined Northwestern, so in 2015, a company called Brew Bike was formed. It's a very simple idea. It's a bike with cold brew coffee on its back around campus, sold to students. Small idea, but they've already expanded to over 10 campuses across the country, and they currently have a valuation of over $2 million. And they were really able to take advantage of all the on-campus resources, specifically in the Garage, to figure out what to do and how to get there. And a ton of their success is owed to Northwestern. But beyond that, if you want to, get involved in entrepreneurship, you don't necessarily want to join or create a company. You can actually take a ton of classes as well, with over 50 business classes and entrepreneurial-based classes on our campus here. You can learn so much, gain those resources, and then go out and create that company or go make that idea a real thing later on throughout your 4 years. But as I hinted at earlier, there's a ton of ways for students to get involved outside the classroom, specifically in learning, beyond just entrepreneurship and innovation. So one thing I want to talk about first is research or undergraduate research here on campus. With $3.5 million every year allocated to undergraduate research, that literally comes out to hundreds of dollars per student per year. And usually this money comes out in the form of undergraduate research grants, otherwise known as URGs. And with that, you apply to it. Usually we'll get about $3,500, and you can utilize this money to go gain some resources. You can utilize it honestly as just like some side income for you if you're looking to save up a little bit of money. But because we have so much money available for research, our research is not only in STEM, it's literally in every field out there, whether that be again STEM, humanities, the arts, social sciences, you name it. There are really cool opportunities out there. So for example, my friend Jonathan, his junior summer, he actually pursued his really specific interest in drone strikes out in the Middle East, where he was looking at analyzing both the efficacy and the effectiveness of them. He then rolled that research over to his senior thesis, where he then actually got departmental honors within the political science department just recently when he graduated 2 weeks ago with me. But you can also utilize research and take it outside this country as well, across the globe. So for example, my friend Mary, her junior fall, she actually went out to Geneva, Switzerland, where she worked with the World Health Organization, otherwise known as WHO, where she looked at better ways to further eradicate HIV/AIDS all across the world. And she got really cool experience doing that. We also have a ton of very traditional study abroad programs with over 160 different international opportunities. We literally cater to every type of experience you want within any pocket of the world. You can also work or intern abroad as well. My friend Tyler, his sophomore summer, he actually worked out in Tel Aviv, working for a fintech company before he then utilized his experience to get a great job at a consulting firm the next summer, where he'll be working full-time as well. So with that, I also want to highlight all the job and internship opportunities available to students here as well. Literally 3/4 of our students, or 75% of them, will have some form of internship during the 4 years here, which is absolutely incredible. That number is so high. Northwestern understands that in this day and age, you oftentimes need some form of experience to get a great job after you graduate. So Northwestern will set you up with so many different types of jobs and internships. So many companies will recruit on campus as well. We have such a name brand company with an amazing alumni network. So many companies just come to campus, recruit students to get them out into their firms and to help them just find a ton of success out there. The last program I specifically want to mention here is the Chicago Field Studies program, otherwise known as CFS. CFS is a co-op program. Well, it's kind of like a co-op program where instead of taking normal classes, you will intern at some form of company in Chicago. You'll get full academic credit. You can even get paid, and you'll get a great job as well. So that again is just highlighting the fact that Northwestern wants to help you get that job. They want to ensure that you're going to have a great future after you graduate at Northwestern, and they just want to make sure that you're going to have a ton of success throughout your 4 years and after as well. So with that being said, I'll turn it back to Quinton now to talk a little bit more about our campus.
Absolutely. All right. So so let me just sort of sum up thus far where we've gone from. We've talked about our amazing student body, which comes from every different part of this world, which is intentional in how we craft our class and create the community that you'll be engaging with. Then we have our 6-school system, which offers a breadth of academic opportunities for you to take advantage of, supported by our 6-to-1 faculty to student ratio, and then really couched by our quarter system, which allows you to take up to 12 different classes a year, across all 6 schools, 4,600 courses to choose from across all the schools, fall into a major, and then on top of that, still have some experience working with our innovation centers, even pursuing research or studying abroad, and still graduate within 4 years. That's super cool. Now, another thing that makes Northwestern is our amazing location. We are a small town in the town of Evanston. We're in the small town of Evanston, which is it's actually the first town just north of the city of Chicago. We're about 12 miles north of downtown Chicago proper. As you can see here, that's a picture of our arts building. And we are right along, in Evanston, we're right along Lake Michigan. So that view is accessible to you. What you see on your screens is accessible to you at any given point in time during your during your time at Northwestern. So it's about a mile-long campus with 8,000 students on it, as we mentioned earlier. But it's a beautiful campus. Tons of places to study. In Evanston alone, There are tons of coffee shops and eateries. Actually, Evanston's known to be the dining capital of the North Shore. In terms of access to the city of Chicago, we make that super easy. You can either get on a free intercampus shuttle, which you can just show a student would show their student ID card, and they would get on a shuttle that takes you downtown for free in about 40 minutes. Or they can spend about $5 to get on the CTA or the Chicago Transit, to get on the local transit line to take you from Evanston via the Purple Line train all the way downtown and throughout Chicago for a round trip. So Chicago is a huge asset to us, and we're very glad to tout that as one of our distinct points of distinctions as well. In Chicago, as you know, it's the third largest city here in the US. Over, I believe, 78 different neighborhoods to discover, tons of museums, music festivals, food festivals. You can actually explore our museums for free. We have a number of professional sports teams as well. So Chicago is a great place to really sort of dig deep and just know that it's a great place as well for co-curricular opportunities. So it's not at all unusual for classes to include you actually going to visit a Chicago institution and studying there, or at least researching there in some shape or form. Zach, can you point out maybe a couple of your favorite Chicago opportunities or Evanston?
So I'm a Boston Red Sox fan, but of course I appreciate my Chicago Cubs as well. So my favorite place in Chicago by far is Wrigleyville, which is right in the middle of Lakeview. I absolutely love just the field there, going to baseball games and having a really fun time. But I'm also a big fan of going all the way down into the Loop. My favorite place to eat is actually in River North. It's a place called the Donut Vault. It literally just sells donuts, but it's like a small shop that is absolutely incredible. And I'm actually moving there I'm moving about 0.1 miles away from it in 3 days, which I'm really excited about as well. But specifically in Evanston, I think my favorite place in Evanston is probably the Lakeville. It's this really beautiful stretch of just green grass that is right on the water. We get amazing views of Chicago. And when you're on the Lakeville, you can truly see just how close we are to the third biggest city in the country. But with that, I want to turn it back a little bit more to on-campus opportunities, a little bit more specifically in Evanston, and of course, on our campus as well. Like I highlighted earlier, there's so many ways for students to get involved in entrepreneurship, innovation, study abroad, research, you name it. But there's also just a ton of ways to get involved and have fun and join literally 500 plus undergraduate organizations here. So for example, my freshman fall, on my first day of school, I went to the new student activities fair, where all 500 of these clubs just lined all the halls, all the rooms. It was a 2-day event. I went both days. And I kid you not, I signed up for 40 individual clubs within those 2 days. I then got 40 emails the next day inviting me to all these different communities. I was super excited, but also super overwhelmed initially. But I then utilized the next week or so to slowly deactivate from about 37 of those 40 listservs as I started to figure out what type of Northwestern experience I really wanted to create and what I wanted catered to me specifically while here. One big part of the Northwestern experience that I really want to highlight here is no matter where you come from, who you are, what you love to do, you'll find your family here. Again, cheesy, I know, but there are so many different pockets of communities here for people to just take part of and enjoy and live up. For example, my friend Jake, his freshman year, he wanted to get super involved in the Jewish community. He came from a very Jewish part of Madison, Wisconsin, and he wanted to keep this cultural, religious part of him going. So with that, he ends up joining Hillel, which is one of our, I believe, 3 or so Jewish communities on campus here. He then actually ended up joining the board of directors of it 2 years later, his junior year, as a student representative. And it was, again, just a really great way for him to foster an important part of his identity, find a community, and ensure that he was having the best 4 years while here at Northwestern. But I think another really important part of Northwestern to talk about is no matter what you join or what community you become a part of, students here love to get involved in these super big, widespread, weekly, monthly, yearly events. So first, I want to talk about game days in the fall. Again, I'm a big Northwestern football fan. I love to help students get hyped up and involved. But every game day in the fall, students will go to tailgates, they'll get some good food, and then of course they'll go to the game and just cheer on the cast and have a ton of fun. And I think that's one of the best ways to see students truly bleed purple. But beyond that, I think my overall favorite, my most favorite tradition at Northwestern, there we go, that's the grammar, is Armadillo Day, or Dillo Day for short. Dillo Day is the largest student-run music festival in the entire country, hosted by Northwestern every late May. We bring in really, really cool artists like Chance the Rapper, Steve Aoki, Kendrick Lamar, MGMT. I honestly have no idea how we get these artists, but it's always a really fun day. And even though it's about a week before finals, they actually close down every single library because they want to see every student out on the Lakeville having a really fun time. Then, of course, the next day, students get back to their studies and prepare for finals before they then depart and go off for the summer as well. So with that, I want to then turn it back to Quinton to talk a little bit more about our overall campus culture.
There we are. There's my voice. So before we get to campus culture, I want to point out another amazing aspect of what makes Northwestern Northwestern, and that is affordability. So we really pride ourselves on making affordability a #1 priority for Northwestern. We want to ensure that any student that falls in love with us can come to us and can actually excel at Northwestern without finances actually being a deterrent for their family. So as you can see from the slide, the university awards nearly $200 million every single year to students to attend the university, and we do so by following a need-based financial aid policy, which means that we take our cost of attendance, which includes everything from tuition and room and board to what else is in there? Book estimates, personal expense estimates, etc. We take our entire cost of attendance. And then we subtract from that your expected family contribution, or what we would call your need. We determine your need, by the way, from you completing your FAFSA and your CSS profile. But once we determine what your expected family contribution is, we subtract that from your cost of attendance. And that difference is the need that we meet 100% with scholarships. So the university awards about 60% of our population with these scholarships that are based solely on need that helps the students and their families cover the cost of attendance. So you will not be graduating with loans offered through your financial aid package. And that's really unique that we are one of, again, a handful of institutions that are committed to meeting a family's 100% of demonstrated need. Affordability also extends throughout your experience at Northwestern. So if there's ever, let's say, a spring break experience that you'd like to be a part of, then finances might be tight for you and your family. The university's there to help with those kind of things as well. I believe Zack might have mentioned it earlier as well with study abroad. If you're studying abroad, your financial aid would also travel with you. So you really wouldn't have to deal with additional costs in excess of your standard on-campus cost in order to take part of that experience. So affordability is another key factor of what makes Northwestern Northwestern. Beyond Northwestern, we have our Alumni Network that really is crucial in helping our students become the best persons that they can be outside of the university, or once they've graduated. We have an alumni network of over 200,000 folks who fell in love with Northwestern and are there to help support our students through college fairs, job preparation, internship searches, etc. Our alumni run the gamut of every industry that you can think of. They're late night talk show hosts. They are in STEM fields, whether that be at Tesla or SpaceX. They're authors. They are doing everything, and we're very proud of them. About 96% of our students actually graduate with a full-time job offer within 6 months of graduating or acceptance into a graduate program, thanks in part to the support they receive from our alums. So to wrap it up, sort of, as Zack mentioned, our campus culture is pretty fantastic. We are a private research institution, tier 1 research institution, which means that research takes place across all areas of the university at the undergraduate level, not just at the graduate level. And we're also a liberal arts university as well, which means that you'll have tons of liberal arts foundation, regardless if you're studying a STEM field or the traditional arts. We are a top 10 academic school that also happens to be part of the Big Ten network. We are on a residential campus here in Evanston, but we're also part of a larger city, which is Chicago. There's tons of opportunities to take advantage of there as well. Affordability, again, is an institutional priority, which makes affordability sort of not a factor. And making sure that all students can take full advantage of everything that the university has to offer, whether that be from research to studying abroad, to just being able to attend the university. And last but not least, our size. So we're our small institution with about 8,000 students, with 80% of our classes having fewer than 20 students in them. And you have access to an esteemed group of faculty and all supporting a diverse and inclusive community. So if we can say so, we believe Northwestern's pretty awesome. And so that sort of, we hope that helps entice you to continue to stay engaged with us. We're gonna move on to our, I'm gonna stop my screen now, to our Q&A section. So I hope you guys have been giving us some great stuff over there. All right, so Zach, one question that we're gonna start with is, in your opinion, what makes Northwestern different than perhaps some of the other schools you might have been considering? You don't have to name them, but make this stand out some other schools in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. I won't name them. It was a while ago anyway, but I truly think that Northwestern just does a really great job of creating a really inclusive and happy campus while also encouraging students at the same time to work really hard and to pursue a ton of really interesting, cool things. Again, I know it's kind of a cheesy answer, but I don't think there's another school out there where students can do so many cool things, find so many amazing resources, while also at the same time just being in a really inclusive and collaborative environment. Back in the day, back in 2015, I was looking at a lot of East Coast schools that have a little bit of a more competitive environment where students are a little bit more at the necks of one another and are fighting to always be at the top. But I think Northwestern just does a much better job of creating an overall happy environment where students are actually working together to pursue goals at the same time, never at the cost of one another.
Well said. Let's talk about the quarter system for a moment. So again, that's something that makes us unique, puts us in a small company, select company. So one of the earlier questions we got is, do classes feel crammed? There's just 10 weeks to complete a course. Do they feel crammed? Do you feel rushed in a quarter system? Let's talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, not at all. Important thing to know is we do not take a semester's worth of material within a quarter. Instead, you take 10 weeks of material within a 10-week quarter or a 10-week system. So no, it's not rushed because you're taking a little bit or a little fewer weeks. You have fewer weeks and you have fewer things to actually learn. The only downside, in my opinion, of the quarter system in that regard is you have 3 finals instead of 2 finals per year or 3 finals periods. But at the same time, you have less to memorize and learn and work with every quarter.
Completely agree. I would say the con, I suppose, as Zach alluded to, of the quarter system is it feels as though you just started and all of a sudden you have a midterm coming up. But you get the hang of that really, really quickly. And there, again, the quarter system just allows you to take so many more courses. So that's pretty great. Speaking of courses, Zach, what has been some of your favorite classes here at Northwestern?
Yeah, so 2 really stand out to me. The first one being Marriage 101. So Marriage 101 is kind of the most random, interesting class you could possibly think of, where my entire senior spring within this class, I learned how to be a good husband and how to find like a healthy, happy relationship. So I looked at all the academic material behind it, but I also got a lot of real life experiences where I interviewed a married couple. I went on a virtual date with someone for class, and I did lots of other cool things as well. Because at the end of the day, it's important to like learn things and be a worldly person, but also at the same time, it's important to know like, how do I find happiness within a relationship? And that class really helped me figure out what I'm looking for in my future. The other class that I think was the most interesting was my freshman fall. I took a class called Politics in the Press. This was going on during the 2016 election. So it was a very crazy, hectic, very relevant time for this class where we were just learning how the media actually shapes politics and how the politics then inverse shapes the media. It's not for everyone, but I'm like very interested in politics and journalism and all that. So it was just a really great class that was super relevant to what was going on at that time.
Well said. Another great question came up about sort of the social dynamics across schools. So let's say if you're applying to a smaller school like the School of Education and Social Policy, is your social experience sort of restricted to just that school?
Literally not at all. I jokingly like to tell my friends that I have more friends I'm close with more people in the School of Education and Social Policy than the Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences, which is kind of true. Because at the end of the day, there's really no barrier between any of the 6 schools. Sure, your major may be within one school, but you'll also be taking classes in lots of other schools. For example, I've taken classes in CESP, I've taken classes in our journalism school. Of course, I've taken classes in Weinberg, but then I've also taken classes in the McCormick School of Engineering. But then on top of that, I highlighted before how many out-of-class experiences there actually are at Northwestern. So that plus the fact that you're taking classes in all 6 of the schools really helps students just come together in really nice ways.
Speaking of coming together, how would you describe students' ability to balance the academic side of things with the social side of things and fun stuff?
Yeah, that was a super important thing I was considering back in the day. I definitely wanted to find that balance between working hard and preparing for my future and really caring about my education. But at the same time, I wanted to be able to go to school where I could have a social life and have fun and do cool things. And Northwestern really helps you, guides you through this actual opportunity and actual experience where at the end of the day, students are able to do both. They're able to pursue internships. They're able to work hard, but they're also able to have a social life and go into Chicago. A question I often get is, how often do I go into the city? And pre-pandemic, of course, I probably went like every week, to be honest, because you just have the time and the opportunities to actually go out and do really cool things out there.
Completely agree. I would also say from my undergraduate experience, and I'm a Chicagoan, by the way, so I should have said that in terms of Chicago being great. I'm slightly biased, but I was born here in Chicago and I went to school nearby, and Chicago still surprises me. But because there's so much to do on campus, though, you probably won't end up, you probably won't end up going to Chicago as much as you would think, at least not to find additional things that Evanston can't provide. So there's just so much going on, whether that be through our student clubs or just hanging out with your friends or exploring Evanston. But Chicago is also right there in your backyard. But because there's so much going on here in Evanston, students are quite content. Let's talk about, if you can reflect for a moment on your senior, as a senior or as someone who just graduated, congratulations. What is your favorite thing about Northwestern, and what is something that you wish you had known sort of early on?
My favorite thing about Northwestern. So I already answered what makes Northwestern Northwestern, so I'll switch this up a little bit. My favorite part about Northwestern, shoot, that was the answer I usually would give for this one. I think that my favorite part is the professors here and the faculty here are actual human beings who care about your life and want to get involved and help you out both inside and outside the classroom. Pretty much every student here has some incredible mentors who are 5 to 50 years older than them. And the faculty here and the professors here just actually want to help you out and guide you along your way here. What was the second part of that question?
Something you wish you had known, sort of thinking back on
something I wish I knew. I wish I knew that I don't need to have everything figured out immediately. I came in here with this very set idea of, okay, I'm gonna pursue econ, I'm gonna go into business, and I'm gonna do A, B, C, and D in order to get to E. And at the end of the day, that's truly not what you need your Northwestern experience or any college experience to look like. I was happy with it and I enjoyed it. But at the same time, you don't need to have an experience like that. In fact, I think it's really cool to take some random classes, to do some random things that don't necessarily cater to your exact future vision. Because at the end of the day, that just gives you more creativity, more flexibility, and it allows you to have a significantly more fun college experience, in my opinion.
I like that reflection. I would also chime in with what I wish I had known is that there's so many resources available at the university for nearly anything. I heard there was another student we had who mentioned that one of the cons of Northwestern is that you can do everything. I wish I had known, for instance, I took some time to figure out what I wanted to do, which is another great benefit of that flexibility. So I started in the School of Journalism, and then through academic advising with faculty advisors, I then switched to the School of Education, and I took a few classes in linguistics, and I wish I had really taken the time to actually maybe defer a minor in linguistics and stuff like that. So there's just so much available to you that I wish that I had taken the time to really chart out more engagement in that way. Another great question that comes from the chat section is, how would you describe, this way, would you say that the NU community is a good environment for political engagement?
Definitely. I think students here are super involved politically. They love to have conversations. I'm a very politically oriented person. I love talking about things with other people. And I think Northwestern creates a really healthy environment about this. And at the same time, there's a ton of diversity of thought, as you mentioned earlier. And that's also included on the political spectrum as well. So people here love to listen, they love to talk, they love to think. But then also people here are respectful of one another, so that it never truly feels like people are necessarily arguing with one another or fighting with one another, but they're just actually having like active and healthy conversations about everything.
Great. I have to share one of my favorite observations about the political environment at Northwestern is just this past fall, we invited the College Democrats, invited Stacey Abrams to be the guest speaker. And I believe just that same week, College Republicans invited Jeff Sessions to be a speaker. So the diversity of thoughts there, and we encourage that. So you spoke a little bit about this earlier, but could you elaborate on sort of collaboration at the university, particularly collaboration with other majors, or does it seem a little bit more segmented for you?
What do you mean by collaboration with other majors? Like,
are there any projects that you've worked on with students who, let's say, so you're an econ major, are there projects you've worked on with history majors, for instance?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, so specifically within the business community, most students who are interested in business aren't studying econ, they're studying lots of things out there. So all the time, like when I was working for student holdings back in the day, every project I collaborated with was with people who are all studying different things, which, you know, that diversity of your major can help bring a lot of different insights as well. But then specifically like within majors as well, students here are just super collaborative. Every exam I ever took, every project I ever did, I would work with other students to ensure that I was like learning the right material and I was actually on my way with everything. Again, students here are never fighting to beat the curve. They're helping one another out. So at the end of the day, students here actually want to like help one another. And if you're helping other people, you also are helping yourself, because the best way to learn is to teach.
I like the way you answered that. Perfect. Reading that question made me think of just one of the programs that we have. So we have a number of select programs at Northwestern that are unique to us. And one of those programs is the Integrated Sciences program, which is a sort of a great example of multidisciplinary studies. So the Integrated Sciences program is, I believe it's like bio and math and chemistry and like something else. Like it's like all like the major science and physics, I believe, all wrapped into one in an attempt to use the best parts of those disciplines to interpret and dig deeper within other disciplines, if that makes some sense. So Northwestern is really cool in how it really encourages that sort of interdisciplinary engagement. And as Zach mentioned a few times at this point, that'll sort of happen just naturally because you'll be in classes with folks studying all sorts of things. As we sort of wind things out, Zach, let's go to the standard good old handy question, why Northwestern? So part of our application process or part of our application is for you to answer that question, why Northwestern? And it's a very short statement, So listen to Zack here. So why Northwestern for you?
Yeah, when you answer this, definitely talk about specifics for Northwestern. I know some other universities out there will ask like, why insert blank university? But Northwestern truly does care about this answer. It's weighed pretty heavily within the application. So definitely think about it and spend some time working through some ideas. But for me specifically, going back all the way to high school, back in the Boston area, I went to this really small competitive high school where at the end of the day, people weren't really having that fun. Everything was focused on the future. Everything was focused on the end of the day of beating everyone else, being the best, and trying to get to the next step. So when I was looking at colleges, I wanted to find a place where I could pursue my passions for academics and really prepare for my future and really fall in love with my learning, but also find a place where I could be happy and do cool things outside the classroom. And honestly, live in the moment. That's a really important thing, to live in the moment sometimes. And what I thought about Northwestern has 100% come alive here. At the end of the day, students here are doing so many things like we've talked about over the past 45 minutes. But at the same time, students here are really caring and want to take some time to take a step back and have those late night conversations, or just go get food at 3 a.m., for example, and do whatever. And students here, again, really care about one another. And if there's one thing that I want you to take away from this info session, it's that Northwestern wants to create a happy, healthy university, and students here definitely feel that every day.
Thanks, Zack. So I hope that's helped you guys understand a little bit more about what makes Northwestern unique. We've hoped this has been an informative conversation. There's going to be some links that were shared earlier about how to continue to stay engaged with us. So there's tons of content here on our YouTube channel. So feel free to browse around and check out some of that content. Some of it's specific to, let's say, studying abroad or doing some research. So feel free to get content there. In addition to available on our website, like how to connect with current students for conversations there. So feel free to please engage. There's the thumb. And stay engaged and keep us informed. And we're here to help you learn more about us as you continue your college search. So thanks for joining in this afternoon/evening, and stay in touch. Bye-bye.